Hey everybody! Welcome to today's ACL Deep Dive. I'm Dr. Mika Riley, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Strength and Conditioning Specialist, an ACL Rehab Specialist, and an ACLer myself. I'm live today from Seattle headquarters here at Movement, Rehab, and Performance. I want to thank you for joining me today, or even just taking the time to watch this. All of this content was created for you. Specifically, all of you ACLers out there, we really wanted to build a community that provided you with nothing but utmost evidence-based research information for you to help you make a well-informed decision with your care and with your recovery, to really give yourself the best chance possible to only have to go through this one time or not ever again. Okay, we want to elevate the standard of care for ACL rehab, and it really starts with giving you top-notch, high-value, educational, evidence-based information to really make sure that you find and get the care that you need and deserve so you don't have to go through this again. So today we are going to go over the topic of, it's a pretty brutal topic, but when should you fire your PT, your in-person PT, and find a new one, or maybe even consider remote ACL coaching? This can be quite a crazy concept to some people. I know that there are many people out there, like some of my clients who now I'm working with, who knew that they just needed more than what their local PT clinic could provide them. Unfortunately, insurance limits what the provider in clinic can do and provide, and causes people to be seen less by their provider and only within what insurance believes is medically necessary. But you probably know that you can't get back to your full potential on your own, but you just don't know what to do. So we know that the re-injury rate is just astronomically high, and return to sport outcomes are just in general not great. Many of you probably already know that ACL rehab is a very, very lengthy process. There's a science to it, and it has to be done really well. And the sad truth is, I mean, we all should know that your need is not the same as all of the millions of knees that are talked about through the ACL recovery groups and things like that. Everybody's situation is so different. So there's just no one size fits all to approaching ACL rehab. There's a science to it. And you probably also know that there needs to be expert guidance to get you to where you want to be. And the unfortunate truth is not all traditional clinic models are set up to help you throughout this process as well as possible. So it's really, really, really imperative that you find the right team for you. It's hard, there are really good PTs out there, but based on the way that insurance limits their ability, they might not see as many ACLs each year, even though they're a really awesome person, a really very knowledgeable provider. They might not see very many ACLs on a day-to-day basis, or even on a yearly basis. I've seen many second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions, who were being treated by people who were treating a bunch of people that didn't look like them, people that were maybe on Medicare, people that were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and then with the occasional young athlete popping in. Why? Because their clinic name had sports PT, sports rehab, performance rehab. Just because it's in the name, it doesn't necessarily mean that their dynamic and their model fits their name. And it's so, so, so important to really make sure that you check in on whether they can do what you need them to do for you, okay? So I really strongly urge you, if you're in that process of trying to figure out, well, do I go, what do I do? How do I find and navigate the physical therapist that is really solid at treating ACLs and sees hundreds of these injuries a year? Check out our ACL roadmap And under the pre-op section where it talks about choosing your PT, you will find all the necessary, very vital questions to ask your physical therapist in order to determine whether they are a good candidate to be treating you, okay? The re-injury rates we know are quite high. And the unfortunate truth is a lot of it largely has to do with the rehab situation. Unfortunately, there are only 50% of physical therapists out there truly equipped, and this is in the research, truly equipped to really handle an ACL rehab. And so that tells us the other 50% aren't being provided the adequate care that they need and they deserve to help say that we did everything humanly possible to do what we can to reduce your risk of having to go through this another time, either on that same side or on the opposite side, okay? I'm very, very passionate about this topic because this is what really inspired me to become a physical therapist and to become an ACL rehab specialist, someone that sees this on a day-to-day basis, because I've gone through this myself. And my first 2 ACL rehabs were great. They were great. I was seen by an awesome PT, very knowledgeable. But did he see many ACL rehabbers on a year-to-year basis? No. I was the youngest person in his clinic and the most athletic person in his clinic. And looking back now, those were huge red flags. So I really, really want to show you and just educate you on the importance of finding the right team for you and finding out maybe what are some indicators to potentially indicate whether you should fire your physical therapist and find another one. And don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about it, because it's hard not to. But you really need to look at your end result and question, is this person equipped to get me where I want to be? And if you're questioning that, then maybe that's an indicator in itself, okay? But you really, really deserve the best of the best. And it's important to find that. So here are some indicators on when to potentially consider and strongly consider firing your PT, because frankly, just because you really like your PT, it does not mean that they are a good fit for you or that they are well equipped to get you to where you need and you want to be, okay? So as I already mentioned, you check out the ACL roadmap and you're going to find some very important questions there. But the thing that I will say is the number one thing is, are they following the surgeon protocol to the T? Okay. Well, a lot of people were like, well, the surgeon was in my knee, like I'm going to follow exactly what they say. But surgeon protocols and even good surgeons themselves will say, I'm really good at what I do on the inside of the knee. I'm really good at what I need to do for like 2 hours to help expedite the process. So they're really good. They're experts in that, at performing intricate details inside the joint, inside the knee. But they will say that they are not experts outside of the OR. They don't know a whole lot of exercise principles. The only thing that they do know is the protocols mean that, yes, theoretically, someone might be able to run at 3 months. But that doesn't mean you should, okay? And that's where us rehab experts come in to play, and we say, okay, well, is John ready to handle running at 3 months? He just turned 3 months, but he also had a meniscus repair, and he just was able to come off crutches like 2 weeks ago. And he's already hit the 3-month mark, and he had just a very slow start. As an expert, I'm probably going to say he's not ready, right? But then there are a couple other things that we need to look at as well, okay? So if your physical therapist, when you ask them, well, when can I do this? And they say, oh, your protocol says 3 months. That should not be an answer that you accept, okay? It should say, well, the protocol will say 3 months, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to let you do it at 3 months. And here are the criteria that I follow for that. The second thing, if it's a nice little segue, if they are not using a criteria-based approach, they should be able to tell you that nothing is just given to you in PT and nothing is provided to you, or you're just not going to do, you're not just going to run starting at 3 months and figure this out. They should tell you that you need to earn it, right? That we need to respect the healing potential and the healing in general of the knee, but we need to put in some work and we need to be dedicated and we need to be consistent. And we need to really work hard to be able to say, yeah, I earned the right to run again. Okay. So a criteria-based approach is key. It's not just time, and it never should be time. Okay. The only time indication that we do know that we need to really, really follow is making sure that nobody returns to sport 100% capacity by 9 months, because they have a 6 to 7 times higher risk of re-tearing either that same side or the other side. Okay, so criteria-based approach is key, and they should be able to say, you need to do this, this, this in order to do this. And if they don't have that, then it's time to find another physical therapist, because unfortunately you are already increasing your risk of re-injury by continuing care with that. Okay, you deserve more. And also, this is an evidence-based approach, and evidence shows that criteria-based approaches are vital to make sure that we do everything humanly possible to reduce your risk of tear, not a time-based approach. Third thing, testing. We test and we don't guess in ACL rehab, okay? Out with the manual muscle testing, in with the objective testing, okay? Test, don't guess. So if your provider is saying, okay, let's assess your strength today and see if you're ready to discharge from physical therapy, or to see if you're strong enough to start running, and they're like, okay, push into my hand, and you're pushing as hard as you got. And they're like, wow, you're really strong. Well, yeah, of course. I'm strong against your hand, but what kind of measure is that? What kind of value is that? It just says, yeah, good job. You can push your arm into someone's hand. Is that what you do for sport? Probably not. You probably exert high amounts of force to participate in your sport. So that's why we need objective testing. We need numbers to show that you are ready to progress to whatever it is that you need to progress to, okay, in the continuum of your ACL rehab. Unfortunately, as I've already mentioned, only 50% of physical therapists out there are actually strength testing appropriately their ACLers. 50%, okay? So it's really important that you find that physical therapist that's within the 50% and make sure that you're testing, okay? Testing is super, super vital because it helps guide us. It helps us, these numbers help guide us to make these decisions on when someone is safe enough and has enough force to withstand the demands that they're about to throw at it. It also helps guide programming, okay? So it helps whenever we test, and for example, some of my clients, if I test them and I see that their quads have taken they're in a plateau. Their hamstrings are awesome, but they're in a plateau with their quad. This tells me, okay, I need to change something up, so that way we don't stay in this plateau and we really hit that greater than 90% mark to really say, yeah, they're ready. They're really ready to return to their sport. So testing really helps us rehab experts make decisions on how to progress you and maybe even regress you if you have a little setbacks, but also it helps guide programming to make sure that we are hitting every key detail in your ACL recovery. Doing the same exercises is the fourth one. If you are doing the same exact, of course, I want to be mindful, right? Because early recovery, you're probably going to do the same exercises for a couple months. And the reason is because it's really important to nail the foundation down. So you can't go to like a HIIT class. Like, it's not like a HIIT class style where you're changing things up all the time. We have an end goal that we need to get to. So we need to do some of the same exercises to achieve those. Okay. But as you progress into your rehab, month 2 and maybe month 3 exercises should look very different than month 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. The intensity of your exercise needs to change. The load needs to change. How quickly or not you move the load needs to change. You need to make sure that you're able to tap into sport-specific movements. Okay, we're training to get you back to soccer. We're training you to get back to hiking with your kids. We're training you to get you back to lacrosse, football, basketball, volleyball, skiing. Okay, what we already do know now is every movement the same in those sports? No. So we need to really make sure that we're hitting into different potential planes of movement with different load, with different speeds, under different situations, to really make sure that we're preparing you for the exact environment that you're wanting to return to. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you aren't doing straight leg raises, lunges, gentle goblet squats with a 20-pound dumbbell through the whole duration of your exercises. Okay. It's really important that that changes along that continuum as you earn the right to do something, and as your testing allows us to really prepare you for the demand of your sport, because that's the important thing, is that you get back to what you love. Okay. And that's, unfortunately, the sad truth, is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't return to their sport at pre-injury level, because they weren't given the proper guidance and things were not addressed and they weren't loaded enough in their ACL rehab. Okay. The last thing, the fifth thing, is not getting one-on-one service. Okay. There are clinic models out there. I tell people, if the surgeon gives you 2 names, or, if the surgeon is like, oh yeah, where do you live? Oh, I live in Seattle, Washington, but over by UW. Okay, well, what are they going to do? They are going to list out all the physical therapy places that are close to that, so you don't have to travel very far. Well, I will say this, and I want to urge you, question this. If you got a really, really life-altering diagnosis, maybe say like cancer or something like that, which I hope none of you do, but are you just going to settle for an oncologist, a cancer doctor who sees all types of cancer and maybe sees only 2 of the type of cancer that you see a year? Are you going to go to them? Or are you going to go to somebody who sees multiple of that same type of cancer you might have every single year? Probably, right? You want to have the best outcome. You want to recover well. You want to have the best chance. So give yourself the best chance and make sure that you are getting the one-to-one service that you need. Okay. So that list of providers that your physical or your surgeon provides you, or that you just Google ACL PT near me, you need to really strongly be looking at the facility and what they offer, what it looks like, what type of population they see on a regular basis, and all the details that we listed above, that we listed earlier, but also making sure that you are stuck with that physical therapist through the whole duration of your ACL journey. Okay, because unfortunately, if you are going to a clinic that is insurance driven, they will see multiple people per hour. Your physical therapist might see you for the evaluation, but then you may only see them for 15 minutes every session and then be handed off to somebody. they might hand you off to what they call a gym aide or a gym tech. These gym techs are maybe college-aged students who want to go to physical therapy school, but don't yet have the knowledge or the capacity to understand why they're giving someone an exercise and when to progress it and when to regress it. They're just following a sheet of exercises that they give every single client. Or you're seeing 5 different physical therapists. That's not an okay place to be in. Why? Because who suffers? You do, and your recovery process does, and your progress does, okay? Because there's not continuity of care. There's not just one person handling the ins and outs and the intricate details of your rehab, okay? So those are the 5 things that I would strongly, that those are red flags, in my opinion, of when those are really strong indicators of when you really should consider firing your PT. And it's very hard and very awkward to do. But I tell people you don't have to give them a reason. You just need to get the care that you deserve. And we need to find that, okay? And frankly, having the excuse of, I really like my physical therapist. They have a really awesome relationship with me. And you click, great. That's great. Maybe they could treat your shoulder if that hurts, or your ankle if that hurts. But maybe not, maybe it's not the setting for your ACL rehab, okay? I will say this, that there's nothing cheap about this injury. That's the unfortunate truth. You pay thousands of dollars. And once you decided to have this injury, though, you already made that decision that you are going to invest in you, in your recovery. You're going to invest in yourself to give you the best chance possible in terms of your overall health, and the overall health of your body, but the overall health of your knee. This is where virtual ACL coaching also comes into play. If you feel like you're in an area that doesn't have what you need. There are many, many, many of us out there that provide ACL virtual coaching. Many means like 20 to 30 of us trying to change the game and the standard of ACL rehab, but we're out there, okay? And many people, we've seen a lot of people that are really, really successful under this model because they get individualized plans that is catered to their goals and their ACL journey. It's not a cookie cutter approach. Everybody's situation is different, and what they need needs to be different as well. They get regular check-ins in case something happens, to check in with how their rehab is going, just as you would in an in-clinic model. But they also get the accountability. They have someone watching them and keeping up to date. Whenever you log an exercise, we get updated on it. Oh, yep, Julie did her exercises today, and she rated it. Oh, it was very easy. I need to progress that. So that way, you push the needle forward and you're not just stuck staying there at the same level that you were through the whole continuum of your care. Objective testing is done to help guide your recovery and your programming. So a lot of my clients, there are a lot of ways to test them, and I will go to the extent of finding a facility where all we need to do is test, or we will send them something to have them test themselves under the ACL experts' guidance, to really help push the needle forward and making sure we're hitting everything possible that in terms of improving their outcome and to help guide our programming. The last things are mental health and nutrition. Those are 2 things that often go missed in a traditional clinic model, frankly, because unfortunately, insurance does not deem that medically necessary. But we need to take a holistic approach to things. And as a lot of you out there probably already know, there is a lot of fear with this injury. You get nervous walking down the stairs sometimes, because I do. You get nervous that you might have that fear that you might not get back to where you want to be. You might have that fear of walking downhill really fast. You might have that fear of jumping. There's just, excuse me, there's just a lot of fear that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fear that goes unaddressed. And we need to make sure that we're hitting that component, that psychological component, and making sure that you are 100% confident in every aspect of your health, every aspect of your life, so on and so forth, to make sure that you are absolutely 100% confident in yourself and in your knee as you return to sport. The other side of things is we also know that we need to fuel our gains. We need to make sure that we're getting enough macros in our day-to-day life. And that's where ACL rehab coaching or ACL coaching comes in handy, because we don't just care about your knee, we care about your overall health and making sure that you are fueling your gains well. So the reality is that this is successful and it's very accessible. You get direct expert advice and guidance from ACL rehab specialists, people who see hundreds of these a year, multiple times a day. This virtual model can be high. It's very high value care that eliminates the travel, frankly. You don't have to take time out of your day to drive 1 to 2 hours and sit in traffic, and you maybe even leave a little sooner to find someone that may or may not be able to provide you with the thing that you need. Virtual ACL coaching is very holistic. It takes a lot of things into consideration beyond just your knee, okay? So that's it for today. I hope this, if this resonates with some of you, I'm happy to have a conversation about this. We as ACL experts here at Movement, Rehab, and Performance offer free consultations to anybody in this community. Whether it's just a one-off consultation to talk about and help you make these hard decisions, or help inform you to really make sure that you're making decisions that are based on evidence-based information and not misinformation, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. But then the other thing is if you can't really find what you need to really make sure that you're getting the guidance and the care that you need and deserve, we also offer ACL virtual coaching, which during that consult, we would determine whether you'd be a good fit for us or not. So invest in yourself. Take the time to research the right provider for you. Question your providers and make sure that you're in the right hands, because you frankly should not have to go through this again. And you should do everything humanly possible to give yourself the best chance. And it starts with finding the right team for you, especially your rehab team. Okay. So stay tuned for our next ACL Deep Dive. I'm Dr. Mika Riley here at Movement, Rehab, and Performance, and we're here to support you, educate you, and empower you to help improve your outcome. So let us know if there's anything you want to know more of, or if you want to have a chat about this. I'm happy to have a chat. Take care.